What if I told you your body has been sending you distress signals for years, and you've been ignoring every single one of them? That little crack at the corner of your mouth, the white fleck on your fingernail, the leg cramp that wakes you up at 3 a.m. These aren't random annoyances. They are your body's emergency broadcast system, and today I'm going to teach you how to read every single message. I'm Dr. James Wellington, and in the next 20 minutes, we're going to go through 23 specific physical signs that tell you exactly which nutrients your body is running low on, and more importantly, what to do about each one. Now before we dive in, I want you to understand something critical. Nutrient deficiency in the modern world isn't about starvation. You can eat 3 meals a day, every single day, and still be profoundly deficient. Here's why. There are 3 root causes. First, your gut may be damaged, a condition called malabsorption, meaning nutrients pass right through you without ever entering your bloodstream. Second, you might be missing a gallbladder or producing insufficient bile, which means fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K literally cannot be absorbed. And third, and this is the one that affects almost everyone watching, the food itself has been stripped of nutrients. Modern agricultural soil has been so depleted that a tomato grown today contains a fraction of the vitamins it did 50 years ago. A 2004 study published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition analyzed USDA data across 43 garden crops and found measurable declines in protein, calcium, phosphorus, iron, and riboflavin over the previous half-century. You can eat a beautiful bright red tomato and get almost nothing from it nutritionally. And then there's refined sugar and processed grains, which don't just fail to nourish you, they actively rob you of the nutrients you already have. Stay with me, because we're about to go through all 23 signs one by one. Bookmark this video. You're going to want to come back to it. Look at your fingernails right now. Do you see any small white specks anywhere on the nail surface? Not at the tip, I mean embedded in the nail itself, partway down. That is a zinc deficiency signal. But here's the fascinating part. It's not simply that you aren't eating enough zinc. Those white spots almost always appear roughly 3 months after a period of high sugar consumption. Sugar actively depletes zinc from your tissues. So that birthday cake, that week of holiday desserts, it shows up 3 months later as a white spot on your nail. Zinc is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body. It governs immune function, wound healing, protein synthesis, and hormone regulation. Running low on it has cascading consequences. Your fix: reduce refined sugar and supplement with zinc. Ideally zinc glycinate or zinc picolinate for maximum absorption, 15 to 30 milligrams daily with food. Now here's a sign most dermatologists won't connect to nutrition. Chronically oily skin, the kind where you blot your face and within an hour it's shiny again, is frequently a zinc deficiency problem. Your skin contains sebaceous glands that produce an oil called sebum. Zinc regulates the androgens, male hormones that control how much sebum those glands produce. When zinc drops, androgen activity goes unregulated, and sebum production surges. For women, this connection runs even deeper. Elevated androgens from zinc deficiency can be a contributing factor in polycystic ovarian syndrome. And when blood sugar is high, which depletes zinc even further, you get a compounding hormonal effect on the skin. The fix here is the same: zinc supplementation, combined with reducing dietary sugar and refined carbohydrates. Now here's one that's incredibly common and almost universally misidentified. Do you have small splits or fissures at the corners of your mouth? Or deep cracks on the back of your heels that won't heal no matter what lotion you use? That is a vitamin B2 riboflavin deficiency. Sometimes B3 is involved as well. The B vitamins are essential for the integrity of your skin and mucous membranes. Without adequate B2, tissue develops these small fissures rather than maintaining smooth, resilient structure. Now here's what most people don't know about why this happens in winter specifically. During winter months, sun exposure drops, vitamin D production plummets, and vitamin D, among its many roles, feeds the beneficial microbiome in your gut, and those gut bacteria are responsible for synthesizing B vitamins including B2. So the chain runs: less sun, less vitamin D, depleted gut microbiome, less B2, cracked heels and corners of the mouth. The fix: unfortified nutritional yeast is one of the richest whole food sources of the entire B vitamin complex. Take it daily, and get your vitamin D levels tested. Do you notice white scaly flaking around the sides of your nose or across your forehead? Not dandruff. We're talking about facial skin that seems to constantly shed in small dry flakes no matter how much moisturizer you apply. This is an omega-3 fatty acid deficiency, but more precisely, it's an omega-6 to omega-3 imbalance. Your body requires both, but in a balanced ratio. The problem is the modern Western diet delivers omega-6 in massive quantities through vegetable oils, seed oils, processed snacks, restaurant fried foods, chicken, while omega-3 intake stays critically low. Research published in the British Journal of Nutrition has documented how essential fatty acid deficiency directly impairs the skin barrier, reducing ceramide production and compromising the structural integrity of skin cells. Your fix is a two-step approach. Step 1. Aggressively reduce omega-6 sources: corn oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, peanut butter in large quantities, and most fried foods. Step 2. Increase omega-3 through fatty fish, sardines, and especially cod liver oil. Cod liver oil is the fastest intervention I know of for this type of skin flaking. Now we move into territory that warrants more immediate attention. If the whites of your eyes have a yellow tint, or your skin looks yellow, that is jaundice, and it points directly to liver and gallbladder dysfunction. Here's the mechanism. Your red blood cells have a natural lifespan of about 120 days. When they break down, they produce a yellow pigment called bilirubin. Your liver is supposed to process and excrete this bilirubin through bile. When bile flow is sluggish due to insufficient bile salt production, thick sludgy bile, or compromised liver function, bilirubin backs up into the bloodstream, and you see it in the eyes. The nutritional intervention here is purified bile salts, supplemental bile acids that thin the bile, restore flow through the bile ducts, and allow the liver to properly excrete bilirubin. This is not a substitute for medical evaluation if your jaundice is significant, but mild yellow tinting in the eyes that has developed gradually is frequently a bile insufficiency issue. This one surprises almost everyone. If you've had a persistent dry cough for weeks or months, the kind that doesn't respond to cough medicine and isn't explained by infection or allergies, consider calcium deficiency. Calcium plays a critical role in neuromuscular function throughout the body, including the larynx and throat structures. When calcium is insufficient, you can develop a condition called laryngeal spasm, a low-grade persistent irritability in the throat muscles that manifests as chronic cough. The fix is simple and often dramatically effective. 200 milligrams of calcium lactate, not calcium carbonate, taken before bed. Many people report that a chronic cough they've had for months resolves within days. If your gums bleed when you brush or floss, even gently, that is a textbook vitamin C deficiency signal. In severe historical cases, this was called scurvy. Today what we're seeing is subclinical vitamin C deficiency, not severe enough to be diagnosed, but enough to compromise tissue integrity throughout the body. Vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis. The gums are a highly vascular, collagen-dependent tissue. Without adequate vitamin C, capillary walls become fragile, and the gums bleed easily. Now here's the sugar connection that almost nobody talks about. Glucose and vitamin C share the same cellular transport mechanism. When blood sugar is elevated, your cells preferentially absorb glucose over vitamin C. So even if you're taking vitamin C supplements, high sugar intake can effectively block its absorption at the cellular level. Your fix: increase leafy greens, reduce sugar, and if supplementing, take vitamin C away from high carbohydrate meals. Do you have trouble seeing clearly when driving at night, especially in rain? Does your vision take unusually long to adjust when you move from light to dark? This is a classic vitamin A deficiency pattern, historically called night blindness. Here's where a critical distinction needs to be made. There are two forms of vitamin A. Plant foods, carrots, sweet potatoes, leafy greens, contain beta-carotene, which is a precursor that the body must convert into the active form called retinol. Animal products, egg yolks, butter, dairy, fatty fish, and especially beef liver, contain retinol directly. The conversion rate from beta-carotene to retinol is highly inefficient in many people, particularly those with certain genetic variants or compromised digestive function. A 2012 study, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, confirmed that a significant portion of the population has limited ability to convert plant-based carotenoids to active retinol. If you suspect vitamin A deficiency, egg yolks and cod liver oil are your most accessible and reliable sources of true retinol. Chronically chapped lips that don't respond to lip balm, and often get worse with lip balm, point to vitamin B2 deficiency. The mechanism is identical to cracked corners of the mouth. Insufficient riboflavin compromises the structural integrity of mucous membranes. Here's an important observation about the lip balm trap. Many commercial lip balms contain alcohol, mineral oil, or synthetic fragrances that temporarily coat the lips, but actually strip away the natural lipid barrier, making the underlying deficiency worse. You apply it, get 1 hour of relief, and then need to apply it again. That cycle is a sign you're treating a symptom rather than the cause. Fix: eliminate or dramatically reduce refined grains. Add unfortified nutritional yeast daily. Here's a test you can do right now if you have swelling in your lower legs or ankles. Press your finger firmly into the puffiest area for about 5 seconds, then release. Does it leave a dent that slowly fills back in? That is pitting edema, and it almost always signals a potassium deficiency. Potassium and sodium work in opposition throughout your body. Every cell has sodium-potassium pumps that maintain fluid balance. When potassium is critically low relative to sodium, fluid accumulates in the interstitial tissues, particularly in the lowest gravity-dependent areas of the body, your ankles and feet. Refined sugar makes this dramatically worse. High blood sugar causes the kidneys to retain sodium and excrete potassium, exactly the wrong combination for fluid balance. The fix: dramatically increase potassium-rich foods, large leafy green salads, avocados, cooked spinach, and consider a high-quality electrolyte that contains meaningful amounts of potassium, not just sodium. If you find yourself constantly chewing ice, or if your children do, or if a woman you know going through her menstrual cycle does, that is almost certainly an iron deficiency signal. The medical term for craving and chewing non-food substances is pica. The most common form is pagophagia, ice craving, and it is strongly associated with iron deficiency anemia. The exact mechanism isn't fully understood, but it's thought that chewing ice may temporarily increase alertness and blood flow in iron-deficient individuals. The irony, of course, is that ice contains no iron, so the craving persists indefinitely without resolution. Best dietary sources. Red meat provides heme iron, the form most bioavailable to humans. Liver is extraordinarily iron-dense. Eggs contribute as well. For those who can't consume these foods, grass-fed liver extract or spleen extract supplements provide bioavailable iron in a food matrix form that's gentler on digestion than synthetic iron supplements. Now here's one that could genuinely save a life. Angina, that squeezing, crushing chest pain that often radiates down the left arm, is in many cases a vitamin E deficiency manifestation. Vitamin E is the primary fat-soluble antioxidant protecting the inner lining of your arteries. The endothelium, the one-cell thick lining of every blood vessel, is extremely vulnerable to oxidative damage. Vitamin E sits in the cell membranes of endothelial cells and prevents lipid peroxidation, the chain reaction of oxidative damage that leads to arterial plaque, calcium deposits, and clot formation. When you consume chlorine-bleached refined flour, white bread, pasta, crackers, biscuits, you're consuming a product where the naturally occurring vitamin E has been completely oxidized and destroyed. And you're not just failing to get vitamin E, the oxidative byproducts of those refined grains actually consume the vitamin E you already have stored. The type of vitamin E matters enormously here. Tocotrienols, particularly delta and gamma tocotrienols, are approximately 50 times more potent as antioxidants than the tocopherol forms found in most supplements. For angina and cardiovascular protection, tocotrienols are what you want. If you wake up at night with a calf cramp so severe it makes you leap out of bed, or if you get persistent leg cramps during or after exercise, magnesium deficiency is the most likely culprit. Magnesium is required for every step of muscle contraction and relaxation. It acts as a natural calcium channel blocker at the cellular level. It is what allows a contracted muscle to release. Without sufficient magnesium, muscles can contract powerfully but struggle to fully relax. The result is cramping. Here's the elegant design of nature. Magnesium sits at the center of every chlorophyll molecule. Chlorophyll is what makes plants green. So the richest food sources of magnesium are predictably the darkest green foods: spinach, kale, Swiss chard, broccoli. A 2017 meta-analysis in the journal Nutrients confirmed that magnesium supplementation significantly reduced the frequency and severity of nocturnal leg cramps. Magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate are the preferred forms, highly bioavailable and unlikely to cause the loose stools associated with magnesium oxide. Do you lie in bed at night with your brain absolutely refusing to turn off, running through tomorrow's problems, replaying conversations, solving imaginary crises? That excessive mental activity, combined with daytime irritability, nervous tension, and a short fuse, that is a classic thiamine vitamin B1 deficiency pattern. B1 is the foundational B vitamin for your nervous system. It supports the metabolism of glucose in brain cells, regulates neurotransmitter synthesis, and critically modulates the function of the amygdala, the brain's fear and stress response center. Research suggests that thiamine deficiency lowers the threshold at which the amygdala fires, meaning ordinary stressors produce outsized emotional responses. You feel on edge, anxious, like everything is slightly too much. The fastest natural intervention, unfortified nutritional yeast, which contains the full B vitamin complex, including generous thiamine, Many people report a profound calming effect within 24 to 48 hours of starting nutritional yeast, not sedation, but a return to baseline equilibrium that they didn't realize they'd lost. The root cause is almost always the same: a diet high in refined carbohydrates and sugar, which are metabolized in a way that actively depletes thiamine. Here's an observation every parent of an asthmatic child should know. Asthma symptoms almost universally worsen in winter and improve in summer. Children who struggled to breathe in January are running freely outside in July. What changes? Sun exposure. Vitamin D production. Vitamin D is one of the most potent natural regulators of inflammatory pathways in the body. The airways in asthmatic individuals are in a state of chronic low-grade inflammation, and vitamin D directly suppresses the inflammatory cytokines responsible. A comprehensive meta-analysis published in the Lancet Respiratory Medicine in 2017 found that vitamin D supplementation significantly reduced the risk of severe asthma attacks requiring emergency treatment. Most asthmatics are profoundly vitamin D deficient. If you or someone you love has asthma, getting vitamin D levels tested and supplementing to optimal levels is a genuine therapeutic intervention, not just wellness advice. Look at your eyebrows. Specifically, look at the outer third from the arch outward toward your temples. Is the hair there thin, sparse, or missing entirely? This is a classic sign of hypothyroidism, and at its root often an iodine deficiency. Your thyroid gland produces two primary hormones, T4 and T3. The numbers literally refer to the number of iodine molecules attached to the thyronine molecule. T4 has 4 iodine atoms. T3, the active form, has 3. When iodine is insufficient, T4 and T3 production drops, thyroid function slows, and the outer eyebrows begin to thin. Sea kelp is one of the richest natural sources of iodine. If you notice thinning outer eyebrows alongside other low thyroid symptoms, fatigue, cold intolerance, constipation, brain fog, iodine and thyroid evaluation should be a priority. If you carry chronic tightness and tension specifically in the right trapezius, the muscle running from the base of your neck across your right shoulder, suspect the gallbladder. The phrenic nerve innervates the diaphragm but also has referred pain pathways that extend to the right shoulder and trap region. When the gallbladder is congested, bile flow sluggish, bile thick and sludgy rather than freely flowing, it creates pressure and referred neurological tension that presents as a tight right shoulder. The intervention: purified bile salts. As bile thins and flow is restored, many people report that right side shoulder and trap tightness they've had for years resolves surprisingly quickly. Children who regularly have nightmares, or adults who do, are frequently B1 deficient. The amygdala, which we discussed in the context of daytime irritability, is also the brain structure most responsible for the emotional content of fear and dreams. It processes threat signals and fear memories, and during REM sleep, it replays and consolidates emotionally significant experiences. When thiamine is insufficient, the amygdala's fear threshold is lowered. Even neutral dream content can be processed through a fear lens. Thiamine has specific receptor sites in the amygdala. Research suggests that adequate B1 levels essentially act as a volume control on the amygdala's fear response, both waking and sleeping. The root cause in children is almost always refined carbohydrate consumption, breakfast cereals, crackers, bread, sweet snacks, combined with insufficient dietary sources of B vitamins. Nutritional yeast before bed works remarkably well here. If every evening you find yourself reaching for salty chips, pretzels, or popcorn with an almost compulsive drive, your body may be signaling a sodium deficit. This seems counterintuitive in a culture that's been told to restrict salt at every turn, but the reality is more nuanced. If you exercise regularly, sweat significantly, or have been on a low-sodium eating approach, your sodium levels can drop to a point where your hypothalamus triggers specific salt cravings. The craving is real and physiological. The problem is what you're reaching for to satisfy it. Commercial chips are processed sodium with inflammatory seed oils. The same sodium signal can be satisfied with quality sea salt added generously to food and water throughout the day. Balance is the goal. Adequate sea salt alongside adequate potassium. Get both right, and nighttime salt cravings typically disappear entirely. Low back stiffness and pain that is worse in winter, worse in the morning, and improves with movement and sun exposure. This is a strong vitamin D deficiency signal. Vitamin D receptors are present throughout the musculoskeletal system, including in spinal muscles and ligaments. Vitamin D is required for calcium absorption and incorporation into bone. But beyond bone density, vitamin D has direct anti-inflammatory effects in the soft tissues surrounding the spine. A comprehensive review published in Pain Physician documented significant associations between vitamin D deficiency and chronic non-specific low back pain, with supplementation producing measurable pain reduction in deficient individuals. Therapeutic dose 10,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily, taken with a meal for fat-soluble absorption, combined with vitamin K2 to ensure calcium is directed to bone rather than soft tissue. The craving for dirt, clay, or other non-food substances is called pica, and specifically geophagy, when it involves soil. From a nutritional standpoint, it almost always reflects iron deficiency anemia. The body is so desperate for iron that it begins signaling for any possible source, including soil, which does contain trace minerals. If a child is eating dirt, or an adult finds themselves with bizarre non-food cravings, iron deficiency anemia should be ruled out before any other explanation. Heme iron from red meat and organ meats, particularly beef liver, is 2 to 3 times more bioavailable than non-heme iron from plant sources. For those who cannot consume organ meats, desiccated liver or spleen extract supplements provide a concentrated, bioavailable source. Low libido, difficulty achieving or maintaining erections, and reduced sexual function in men. These are frequently the downstream consequences of zinc deficiency affecting testosterone production. Zinc is essential for the synthesis of testosterone. It's required by the enzyme systems that produce testosterone in the Leydig cells of the testes, and it inhibits aromatase, the enzyme that converts testosterone to estrogen. Low zinc means lower testosterone production and accelerated testosterone conversion to estrogen. Research published in Nutrition Journal demonstrated that zinc supplementation in zinc-deficient men produced significant increases in serum testosterone within 6 weeks. The richest dietary sources of zinc: oysters, red meat, pumpkin seeds, and eggs. For supplementation, zinc picolinate or zinc glycinate at 25 to 30 mg daily is highly effective. And finally, and this may be the most impactful sign on this entire list given how widespread it is, persistent low mood, loss of interest in things that used to bring pleasure, feeling flat and unmotivated. These are frequently vitamin D deficiency presentations, not just psychological experiences. Vitamin D is a direct precursor to serotonin synthesis. Your body cannot produce adequate serotonin without adequate vitamin D. A landmark study in FASEB Journal by Dr. Rhonda Patrick and colleagues detailed the exact biochemical pathway. Vitamin D activates the gene responsible for tryptophan hydroxylase, the enzyme that converts tryptophan to serotonin in the brain. This is why seasonal affective disorder peaks in winter. It is not a mood disorder. It is a vitamin D and serotonin production disorder with seasonal triggers, and it responds dramatically to vitamin D optimization. Minimum 10,000 IU daily for most adults. Get your 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood levels tested, and aim for 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter, not just the clinical minimum of 30. Now let me give you the takeaway framework from everything we've covered today. The first thing you want to address is the depleters. Refined sugar and refined grains are the primary drivers of zinc, B1, B2, vitamin E and potassium deficiency. Remove them or dramatically reduce them, and half of these signs will improve on their own within weeks. The second step is the core nutrient foundation that most people in the modern world are critically low on. Vitamin D3 at 10,000 IU daily with K2, magnesium glycinate at 300 to 400 mg daily, zinc picolinate at 25 to 30 mg daily, unfortified nutritional yeast every day, cod liver oil every day, and purified bile salts if you've had your gallbladder removed or experienced the signs we discussed. The third step, get your micronutrients through real food. Large leafy green salads are not optional. Red meat and organ meats should be regular fixtures in your diet. And eggs, especially the yolks, deserve full rehabilitation from decades of unjust dietary vilification. If you've recognized yourself in 3 or more of these signs, I want you to watch my next video. It goes even deeper on how to properly assess your actual deficiency status rather than guessing. And if you found this valuable today, share it with one person in your life who needs to hear it. These signs are everywhere once you know what to look for. I'll see you in the next one.